Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Matthew Diolis of Shadowframe Productions, and let's talk about Most Underrated Movies, Part 2. The late, great Tony Scott, Man on Fire. What a great revenge movie, and I just love the way this movie is edited. And Denzel Washington, this might be my favorite role of his. Adam Sandler and Seth Rogen in Funny People. A great cast, a lot of different celebrities playing themselves in the movie. This movie is so underrated. I think it is hilarious and fantastic. A bit long. Some Judd Apatow movies tend to be a little long. This next movie is definitely underrated, and it is impossible to find. Trying to track this movie down on streaming services like Prime or Netflix is next to impossible. Trying to find the DVD of this thing is impossible. It's a movie called Run. It's very reminiscent of a later 90s movie, Judgment Night. If the 80s and 90s had a baby, it would be this movie. Killing Them Softly, very underrated. Michael Clayton, Blue Valentine. Jackie Brown, the great Quentin Tarantino. Came out right after Pulp Fiction, and I think it's one of his best. I love all 9 of his movies. Come on, Max Cherry. I didn't know you listened to the Delphonics. They're pretty good. Predator 2. The first one is an all-time classic, but the second one I think is pretty great as well. The last 30 minutes of Predator 2 is gold. The Lord of the Rings is not underrated. Absolutely not. Each movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy was nominated for Best Picture. Return of the King won Best Picture at the Oscars. But the Hobbit Trilogy doesn't get enough respect. I think it's great and has some great moments. The whole sequence with Smaug, the scene with Gollum and Bilbo with the riddles where he gets the ring. The Hobbit Trilogy deserves a lot more respect. It's not as great as Lord of the Rings, but it's still pretty great. Okay, last but not least, I'm probably going to get a lot of crap for this. Spider-Man 3. Now hear me out. I know it's not as great as Spider-Man 2, and it's not as great as the first Spider-Man, but Spider-Man 3 gets a lot of shit. And I know it's cheesy, the whole dancing sequence, but now looking back on it, it has some charm, and it has Sam Raimi's fingerprints all over it, and the Sandman sequence. The sequence, how he becomes the Sandman, is just fantastic. Venom in this movie is alright. He could be better, he could be bigger, but it is much better than the Tom Hardy Venom movie. Spider-Man 3 deserves another watch.